Have you wondered what 10 original Xbox games you need to play in 2023? In today's episode, I'm going to give you 10 hidden gems. Some of them you may have heard of, others you may not. We're going to dive into it right now.
Amped really delivered on the snowboarding front. It had everything. You needed to perform crazy tricks. You had some really nice realistic levels that were based on real tracks apparently, and it wasn't too wacky or zany, so you could have a relatively positive experience if you wanted something a bit more serious. You had to score as many points as you could, of course, across different levels. You can change your gear, you can change your clothing, you can change your character, and so there's some nice customizations to this. I wasn't too bad, albeit a little rusty in my playthrough here, but I remember that feeling of playing this for the first time, so it was really nice to do this episode and kind of step back into that. Again, the majority of my Xbox original gaming came and actually started when I first went to university, so it's really, really cool. What I loved about this was the nice balance that this provided, because when SSX came out, it was absolutely off the charts crazy, and sometimes for me it became a little bit difficult to focus at what's going on, whereas this gave a bit more of a grounded experience when it came to kind of gameplay. So this is a really cool game, and fortunately for you, it is quite cheap to purchase, whether you choose your local retro game store or you go to CX, whether you just bounce online and see what's available. But definitely make sure this one is on your list. This is Amped on the original Xbox. Call of Cthulhu: Dark Corners of the Earth is a very, very moody horror game. In fact, a survival horror game that we never knew we always needed, and I think in a world full of Silent Hills and Resident Evils, especially back then, it was very hard for horror games to pop. But Call of Cthulhu was special because it had a little bit of a niche. The game made great use of sound, and at times of stress you could really hear the characters' heartbeats. It was very, very oppressive, and you really felt that stress and strain as you meandered through the hellish corridors and whatever else you were involved in Call of Cthulhu. This is quite an expensive game. It's about £40, but it's definitely worth your time if you're into horror games. I can hear you all say, Gemma, this is not an Xbox exclusive, but we're talking about the Xbox, so Second Sight is definitely one that you need to put into the tray of that gorgeous original Xbox and enjoy this game. It looks fantastic, it plays really, really well, and I love the different varieties of gameplay. You can use different abilities, you can heal yourself, you have a telekinesis power straight from the get-go, and you have to meander your way through various levels. There's very, very minimal combat in the early levels, but some of the levels are much more focused on combat, so it depends on what you really like to do, but be prepared for a variety of gameplay, from stealth to all guns blazing, so to speak, a tiny little bit of problem solving, just working things out. It's very, very basic stuff, but it's very rewarding once you get your rhythm in Second Sight. This is an absolute perler of a title. Wow. Brute Force conceptually features 4 different characters on your main campaign. Each of them have a different intro, and check this, you can even play up to 4 players couch co-op. If you've got friends unlike me, I don't have any. But if you don't want to play co-op, that's absolutely fine. You can still go at it as single player. But the longer you play, you unlock different characters, and you can play between 4 different characters in any one single player campaign. Depending on what type of environment you're in and what you need to do, you can switch to a different character, unlock their special ability, and that helps you on your single player mission. It's quite unique and it's very, very fun. The gameplay consists of lots of different weapons. You've got basic grenades, you've got shotguns, you've got frags, you've got all different kinds of things to help you on your adventure in Brute Force. I was lucky enough to score this for a couple of quid from a charity shop about 4 years ago. But I think you'd be paying a little bit more nowadays, so rest assured, save your pocket money and make sure you definitely snag yourselves a copy of Brute Force, get some pizza in, play some couch co-op like it's the 90s. Kung Fu Chaos is so much fun on the OG Xbox. It's a basic fighting game and you've got to progress your way through the levels fighting various waves of enemies. You can whip out combos, you have lots of things in the environment to avoid and kind of jump to. You can also use your environment around you. You can throw watermelons, you can throw enemies into enemies, you can throw enemies off certain levels, platforms, etc. It is actually quite fun, and you've got to whip out different combos to increase your star system along the bottom, and before like each level it'll tell you how many stars you have to get to beat the level. So this is a really nice and unique, I think for its uniqueness, it's definitely a hidden gem, and if you've not played it, it's a really nice little game to be getting in 2023. I need a few seconds of your time to tell you about channel memberships. If you guys want to become a channel member, click join from the main page or the second link in the description. There are 3 tiers, all with different perks for you if you want to become a team member. Thanks for your time. Let's continue with the video. Next up is Death Row, and I was hooked on this at university. Sadly, these next 5 games I don't own, but I can assure you that I've played the hell out of them, and I think for this episode you need to take note at Death Row. The premise is pretty simple. You've got to score goals by collecting the disc and lobbing it into the goal essentially, but in doing so you've got to avoid attacks from enemies, punches, kicks, gnarly moves. I mean, it was dubbed to be quite a violent game back in the day. I don't think it's violent now. Looking at this, there's no blood. It's not like we're performing fatalities on the likes of Mortal Kombat or anything like that. But nonetheless, this is a really cool and fun game. And what's more is I remember that before this came out, I was kind of reading about this way back in the day, and it was talking about like people playing on LAN. Now, LAN was something I never really got a chance to experience when I was little. I think we played a little bit of LAN on Doom on the SNES. But this was quite unique for that purpose. Unfortunately, there was no online multiplayer, but you could kind of split screen and couch co-op, etc. So this is really, really fun if you want to pass some time and try something new. This is Death Row, and it's definitely an Xbox hidden gem. Fusion Frenzy dubbed itself as non-stop party game action, which pretty much sums up what you can see on screen now. I played the heck out of this with my friends in the early noughties when I was at university, and it's just so much fun. It's like before the Wii ever came to market, before Fall Guys ever became a thing, Fusion Frenzy was where you went to play your party games. You can play up to like 4 friends, different mini games, score as many points as you possibly can. You can of course collect different like orbs, and you can use them to score more points throughout the level as well, so it really is quite a challenge, and there's lots of variation with this, so it's really, really nice. There's not much monotony, and I think for me that's where the magic comes in with Fusion Frenzy. It is a load of fun, and I think it's definitely best played with another human being and really kind of feed into that classic couch co-op action. So if you want to try something new and you like your party games, or you want to try something new with the kids and you want a bit of a laugh, I would definitely suggest you grab yourselves a copy of Fusion Frenzy. Next up is Breakdown. This was a gorgeous game back in the day, and what I actually loved about it is it's just some nice hand-to-hand combat. There wasn't much emphasis on kind of firing weapons all the time. There were different things that you could do that seemed to add a little bit of finesse. And interestingly enough, you can buy this now on the Xbox store for £9.19. So you can actually enjoy this. If you don't have an original Xbox, you can jump onto the store and play this on backwards compatibility. So it's really, really nice. I think the story can get a little bit confusing at times, but stick with it and you'll get a lot of satisfaction from playing through this. I thoroughly enjoyed playing this back in the day, and I might just have to rebuy the digital copy now, I think. But who knows, maybe we can get a cheaper physical copy from somewhere. So I know this has quite a hardcore fan base online, and I dare say I'm speaking to some of you right now, because you know this game is phenomenal, and it's one that if you've never played it, Snaggy sends a copy, guys. I'd recommend all of these games. Get them on your list, and at the next retro gaming market you go to, get through them, get on this. So this is awesome. Breakdown, guys, on the original Xbox. Voodoo Vince was one of those games that I looked at and I was like, this is the kind of Crash Bandicoot-esque game that I never really wanted, but got anyway, and actually really freaking enjoyed it. It definitely feeds into that kind of nostalgic side of me from playing the likes of, say, like Spyro as well. It's this really nice kind of 3D environment, and if anything, I do see a lot of the Banjo-Kazooie in here. And if you've played all of those games that I've mentioned, I think you'll really, really be intrigued with Voodoo Vince. So as well as like basic combat moves, you can collect voodoo dolls which give Vince some power, and once that meter's full you can use your psychic power to then just defeat various enemies. But when you do that, Vince does take a little bit of a hit on his health, and it's quite funny because this guy gets some serious stick in this game. There's lots of really nice humour in it, and I do actually feel sorry for the character, but I think that's very interesting writing because you feel like I felt like I almost wanted to protect him a little bit more because he is super cute. He kind of looks like Sackboy from Little Big Planet. I know there's lots of influences here, but it is what it is. It just there's so many games in this game that remind me, and it just gives me such a nostalgia tingle. If you like the games I've mentioned, I'm not going to go through them again. I think Voodoo Vince is definitely one for you. It's quite pricey. You can expect to pay 20 quid upwards, and you don't come across this very often. I very, very rarely see this out at retro gaming markets, so you do have to be very eagle-eyed, but snap it up, gamers, once you see a copy, because this little guy is cute and is going to give you a barrage of entertainment, I can assure you. Now, I'm fairly confident if you're watching this episode, you've heard of Wipeout. But Wipeout, this is not. This is Quantum Redshift, and I'm just going to give a little side note here. If you're in the UK, you can buy this game for the likely sum of £1 in CEX. Don't go on eBay, you can get it for £1 in CEX, so there you go. Now, this does look like Wipeout, and that's because a lot of the staff that apparently worked on that game did come over and actually worked on Quantum Redshift, so that is a really cool tidbit of information. This game feels gorgeous, it controls gorgeous, and guess what? It looks pretty nice too. It's a racing game, there's not much more I can say other than just enjoy it, embrace it. Me, I like to dive straight into the tournament mode, and we did have lots of fun. I do remember actually betting sandwiches on whoever wins the race can pick a sandwich and the loser has to make it. I know, but I was at university and it was absolutely pathetic, but it was crazy. We used to bet sandwiches, who's going to make the sandwiches. Lazy students we were, nobody wanted to get off their arse and go and make a basic meal. So we would race, and then yeah, it was very, very interesting.
If I had to pick a favourite from that 10, it definitely would be Brute Force. I feel like the pace is really nice, the environments are really lush, it still plays really well, but Second Sight also gave it a run for its money as well. Not only does that game look gorgeous by 2023 standards, it also feels incredible to play as well. The original Xbox is as popular as it's ever been, if not more, because new generations are coming in and trying it by today's standards. My nephew, who's 11, even mentioned playing something the other day. Actually, he had a go on Half-Life 2 and said, "Auntie Gemma, I really enjoyed it," which kind of blew my mind. Definitely a proud auntie moment. Let me know which 10 games you would add. Maybe you would add the exact same ones. Who knows, maybe you'll add your own 10. But I'm looking forward to reading your comments in the comment section. My favourite ones are going to get a love heart. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe and leave a like rating, and I will catch you in the next episode. Cheers.